Alright, ladies and gentlemen, what is up? This is Audio Jake bringing you a video EVE Online that has to do with planetary interaction. When I first started EVE Online, I wanted to get into industry and actually have my ISK make me ISK, and I didn't really know how to do that. So I asked veterans and they said, hey, why don't you start a planetary interaction empire? And I was like, okay, what the hell are you talking about? I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So after some research, some trial and error, finally set up my. So if you go to the neocon and you go to industry and you go to planetary industry, I finally set up my little empire. See, I got my planets, I got my factories, making some material. Here I'll go into this one, show you exactly what's going on. This is planetary interaction. So if you've ever wondered what it actually is, this is what it is. You have to have, right here, this is a command center. So every colony you want to set up, you gotta have a command center. That's mine. This allows you to create a base of operations. And over here, this guy, this is an extractor. Extracting resources out of this storm planet. So, and all of these little guys right here, boom, 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 boom. These are all sub-extractor heads. This is the main extractor head. And I am extracting ionic solutions. And as you can see this line right here, this is transporting resources into a storage. The storage is pumping those resources into a basic factory. That's what these yellow guys right here are. I'll click away so you can see these. Click away. These yellow guys, these are basic factories, right? And these basic factories are creating a tier 1 resource, electrolytes. So electrolytes are used for tier 2 coolant, rocket fuel, and synthetic oil. So you need that tier 1 electrolyte to create those tier 2 products for PI. And as you can see right here, your input, ionic solutions, raw resource, output, electrolytes, tier 1, and all these factories pump it into this guy right here. This is a launch pad. Now click away, you can see a little ship, launch pad, right? It's already got some finished goods in there. And you can send it, shoot it up into space, go pick it up, turn it into tier 2, or yeah, you can just sell it at the market if you want to. Alright, so that's the overview of what planetary interaction actually is. And you're thinking, ah, that looks cool, man. How do we get started? Well, EVE Online is a skills-based game. So you need the skills to actually do it. Go to your skills pane, go to planet management, and here are your 4 main skills with an added 5th skill that expands one of your main skills. So we have planetology, remote sensing, command center upgrades, interplanetary consolidation, and advanced planetology. So planetology deals with how well your scans are on a planet in order to find resources, essentially. The skill increases the resolution of resource data when scanning a planet to allow for more accurate surveying. Alright? Remote sensing. The ability to gather and analyze remote sensing data from satellites in orbit around a planet and produce properly calibrated surveys. So this allows you to scan planets that are not currently in your current system. And as you can see, level 5 allows scans within 9 light years, right? I'll show you how that comes into play on the overview in just a second. Command center upgrades. Each level in this skill improves the quality of command facility available to you, in turn allowing for a greater number of connected facilities on that planet. It basically just allows you to have a bunch of factories on a planet, or, you know, a lot more extractor heads further away from your base of operations on a planet. Very important skill, actually. This one you need to get to 5 as soon as possible if you want to be serious about planetary interaction. Now, interplanetary consolidation. Each level in this skill, you may install a command center on 1 additional planet to a maximum of 6 planets. This skill's fine at 3 or 4 if you just want to do tier 1, but if you're going to create an industry, an empire, you need it to get to level 5. Alright. Advanced planetology. This is an advanced skill of planetology. It makes your scans better. And as you can see, level 4 is pretty good right now. I don't really have problems with my scans. So 21 days to get to level 5, I mean, that's pretty lengthy. I don't know if I want to do that. So level 4 is fine for right now. And I just got to preface by saying that if you're an alpha clone, you cannot participate in this part of the game. It's closed off to you. You need to be a mega. That's unfortunate, because I think Planetary Interaction's really cool, but again, you need to be a paying customer. CCP doesn't want a bunch of alpha clones creating PI, pumping it into the market, because it would probably just destroy the market and kind of ruin this gameplay for everybody who isn't a mega clone, so I can understand their decision on that. Alright, so you're probably thinking, alright, this seems pretty cool, got the skills, I understand the concept, but how do I decide what to make? Well, got a really handy dandy tool for you right here. evehelper.tk. So HTTPS evehelper.tk. This is a EVE Online Planetary Interaction Commodities Relations tool, essentially. It's a very handy dandy tool. As you can see right here, raw materials, right? So this is what you actually extract out of the planets, is raw materials. And as you can see on this bottom bar right here, these are the type of planets in EVE Online. Barren, gas, and if you highlight over these, it gives you your raw materials. It highlights them in that column. And then it shows relationships to processed materials, refined commodities, specialized, advanced. See, you just go over these planets and it kind of tell you what raw materials you can get out of these planets. Let's say we go for base metals, right? This is a very common component. As you can see, barren, gas, lava, plasma, and storm planets all have base metals because it is a very, I would guess, common material. Let's go to a more specialized material like ionic solutions, which is what we're going to try and find today. Gas planet and storm planets only, so it is a not as common raw material. And as you can see, I'm hovering over ionic solutions, and electrolytes pops up in the processed material because you're taking that raw resource and you're going to turn it into a tier 1 electrolyte output. Let's say you want to do oxygen. Well, if you highlight oxygen, it links back to noble gas because that is the raw resource you need in order to make oxygen. Same with plasmoids. Go ahead and hover over it. You need suspended plasma. Now, refined commodities are tier 2 outputs of planetary interaction. Really popular ones are coolant, because you need coolant to make fuel blocks. Water and electrolytes are your tier 1 resources you need as inputs to make coolant. Rich uranium, you need precious metals, and you need toxic metals. So this is a very handy tool. And as you can see, as I'm mousing over these, way down there at the bottom you have average price, you sell and buy orders. Now these prices are all based off of the JITA API. So this website's communicating to the EVE Online JITA API and is pulling prices. So pretty accurate. Neat, handy tool. So superconductors, you need plasmoids and water. So this tool can help you decide on what you actually want to build. Specialized commodities are your tier 3s. Now some tier 3s, as you can see, like biotech research reports, it requires 3 tier 2 inputs to actually make. Now that can actually start getting your PI empire to get really big. Let's look at advanced commodities, tier 4. Let's look at wetware mainframes. Again, you would need 3, right? Tier 3 inputs. Now that's pretty substantial, 3, because look at your tier 2s that you would need in inputs. Right? You can just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You would need 9. 9 tier 2 inputs. That's 2 characters you're talking. And basically every planet's highlighted. So you would need quite the sprawling industry. So I would recommend that you just stick to tier 1 materials just to start out, just to get going. Gonna be a lot easier, a lot more simple. All right, so you figured out what you want to make, and you're like, all right, let's go. Let's do this thing, man. Let's set up a colony. All right, so I need to supplement I need more electrolytes, is basically what I need, okay? So I'm gonna show you how to set up a colony for electrolytes. So we're gonna go back to the neocon here. We're gonna go activities, the agency, and here I'm gonna go home to show you what this is what's gonna pop up when you bring that sucker up. We're gonna go to resource harvesting, and there you go, planetary industry. And here's where remote sensing can come in really handy. That skill I showed you, remote sensing, can come in really handy. Is because if I want to search out of my current system, let's say I want to go like, hey, let's do 4 jumps away. Let's do 4 jumps away from where I'm at. It's going to bring up planets. I have specific planets targeted for ionic solutions. And you can get really granular with the search. You can do any distance, 10 jumps. You can do current system. You can do specific region. See, I have the forge selected, but man, you can get really. You can do a constellation. You can do high sec. You can do low sec. You can do null sec. And let me tell you a little bit about resources on planets. High sec has less resources on planets. It's to encourage you to go to null sec and low sec to find these resources in more abundance and to risk more of your assets to make more money. So you're going to find more resources in low sec and null sec. I'm concentrating on high sec just because I kind of want to just show you in this video how to get started. Once you get really good at this, once you get the basics down, then start looking in null sec and low sec for resources and planets and expand your empire that way. But I gotta warn you, it's a lot more dangerous, but it's also a lot more rewarding because that's Eve. Risk versus reward, right? You're not take very much risk, you're not going to get very much reward. But this is a good way to just get you started. So we're going to go here on our current system, and oh, boom, I got a storm planet. Because remember, ionic solutions, it was storm, and what? It was gas. All right, so that's why I'd highlighted these two, because this is all I want the tool to show me. So we're going to go here, we're going to right click on this guy, and we're going to go to view planetary industry. And here's where scanning comes in. This is the planet. Over here on this pane, you have build and you have scan. As you can see, here's all the resources that this planet has raw materials for you to extract. We're looking for ionic solutions, but I just want to kind of show you the difference in scanning. So it has a good density, 29%, anywhere from 25 to about 40%. So in null sec and low sec, you're going to find much higher density. But in high sec, 30% density is actually pretty good for a planet because they're just PI is popular in high sec, so you're competing with other people for resources on these planets. We're going to click noble gas, and it's going to pull up a scan. As you can see, there's no green in these areas, no resources. There's green, there's red. What does red mean? That is a hotspot, high density area of resources, and you can scan. You can expand the scan outward and it gets less, right? Because this is a high level surface scan. And as you take this bar and you start to shrink it down, you're getting deeper and deeper into the scan resolution is what you're doing. And it's showing you the hotspots on the planet of where an abundance of resources might actually be. So in order to find a good hotspot, you kind of want the scan resolution as far out as possible because you don't want to go real deep. Well, I'll show you what happens when you go real deep into the scan. It kind of distorts your perception of where the resources are actually at, because this looks like everything's a hotspot, right? Well, that's not true, because if I pull the scan out to a more surface scan of where resources are at, as you can see, that all goes away, right? And then look, this basically, well, there's no resources there. What are you talking about? Deep scan, deep scan, deep scan. All of a sudden there's resources there? Nah. This is a more accurate scan of coming out right there. There's your hotspot. This is a good abundance of resources. That's no K1. Over here, nothing, right? Nothing. So this is kind of how scanning works. But and I can go to different resources here. Aqueous liquids, kind of the same. Bam, that is a huge hotspot of aqueous liquids. Because if I scan out, if I bring that out, man, look at that. Our bar is almost, we are at a surface level, not very deep. And look at that hotspot. That's an actually really good resource chunk. But we're looking for ionic solutions. As you can see, boom, the scan has not really turned back anything at this level because our density is really only about 14%. But let's get a little bit deeper. Okay, let's get a little deeper, deeper, deeper. There's a little bit there. Not a whole lot. A little better. Come up. A little bit slim pickings. Much better. So I think we found our spot. Our spot's going to be here. This just looks like, and if there's another one next to it, maybe a little bit on this fringe. So we found our spot. Atuna 10 is the planet. You don't have to do the planets I'm doing. You can do PI anywhere in the universe of Eve. So if your home station's not even in the Forge, if you're not anywhere near Jita, if you're let's say you're in a Mars space, these concepts are good across the entire universe. What you're doing here, you can replicate in any system you're at. I'm just showing you the basics of what PI is, scanning, and how to find resources, and I'm going to show you how to set up your base of operations and start extracting and making tier 1. This is good anywhere, so you don't have to be in the system I'm in. I'm just showing you because it's just easier for me to do this in the system I'm currently in. Alright, so we found, now you're probably thinking, okay, what do I do now? What? You gotta buy a command center. Remember I said you have to have a command center for every single planet? So buy command center, buy it directly from the overview, and I'm currently in a station that actually has them, right? I don't want to go 15 jumps away. Don't want to do that. You can actually be in the system as well. So we're going to purchase one, buy this. Bam. Storm Command Center pops up. Good. Alright, we're going to downsize that guy. I have my hauler here. I have a deep space transport. This is a tier 2 hauler, Galantine Federation. Speaking of hauling, for Planetary Interaction, you're going to need to haul stuff around a lot. So I recommend you get into hauling. The Galantine Federation has a plethora of haulers. So it's a good skill to get into. Well, how do you get into that? Well, you need to buy the hauler skill, train it, and it gives you access to these guys right here. Gives you access to the Nereus, the Cryos, the Ephethal, the Miasmos, and then around Mark V. These are all specialized haulers for different holds. As you can see, if you just mouse over it, tells you the different holds that it actually can hold materials. And then you can get into blockade runners, the Viator, and the Akator, which is my current one. Deep space transport. Alright. So, a little pro tip about these command centers. In order to deploy them, as you can see I had a gas one in here, let's take that out. It needs to go into your base cargo hold. You can't put it in the fleet hangar. You put it in the fleet hangar, and you get to the customs office to deploy it, you will not be able to deploy it. It needs to be in your base to be deployed. Base cargo hold to deploy it. Alright. We're going to undock. We're going to go deploy this thing. Alright. Remember the planet was? So you go down to my overview. I'm going to go to my planets. We're going to the storm. So it was a Tuna 5. Storm planet. Right? So you need to go to the customs office in order to access the Planetary Interaction system. So you go to Tuna 5, customs office, and you can warp within 0 meters. You cannot access the planets without going to the customs office. So once you get close to the customs office, this is the customs office that accesses the planet. All right, we're gonna go to the planet. Now you can either bring up the overview again that you had out, or you can just use your current overview here. Right, you don't need to use the neocon. You go to the planet, you view planetary industry, and you're gonna go to build, right? Well, actually, let's go find our resource, right? This is where we wanted it, right? And you're gonna go to build. Now Storm Command Center, you're gonna drop your command center. Now there's no rhyme or reason where you have to drop your command center. You just typically want it close by where you're doing. You're gonna submit. You have to submit in order for this thing to actually stay and for it to be on the planet. You have to submit, or your changes aren't gonna happen. We're gonna back out because I want to be safe because this is EVE Online and you're the moment you dock you're subject to PvP. So I'm gonna dock back at a base so that way my hauler is not exposed. Alright, and we're gonna go back into the planetary industry because it's gonna take us right back to our command center. Now, remember I was telling you about the command center skill? This is where it comes in handy and you need it to get to level 5 because you're gonna click on your command center, right? And click on it. And over here, this guy, upgrade. Now that's where that skill comes in handy because here's your upgrade levels. This is based on your skill. Command center skill. You upgrade all the way, and it, as you can see, our power output and our CPU output go up. There you go. Go down, right. So max skill, and there's a cost associated with it. This is why you need capital in order to start this PI. You need about 20 or 30 million, I would say, to start 3 or 4 colonies. You need about 20 to 30 million because you're also going to have to pay taxes for taking materials off the planets, and also for if you wanted to bring materials to and inject them into your factories. You need to pay a tax every single time to the customs office. There's ways to reduce that tax, but that can come in another video. And you can use spreadsheets to keep track of all your costs, but I promise you, if you set it up and you do tier 1s and tier 2s, you will make your money back. And if this video does well, I'll have a video about how to turn tier 1s into tier 2 products and take those to the market and sell it, and how to work the market and so on and so forth. That'll be in another video because I want to keep this video from becoming an hour long. Alright, so we're going to upgrade. We're going to pay that fee. And we're going to submit. Remember, you got to submit so that your changes actually happen. Okay, so now you have your command submitter. We go scan. We go to Ionic Solutions because that's what we're looking for. This is the scan. We scan down. This is our resource we want to extract, right? So we need to go to build, right? We need to start building our base in order to do that. So we need the extractor. So pull the extractor, right? Click on it. And it gives you this overview. It gives you a circle overview of how far the extraction heads will actually go from where this is placed. So you're going to want to center it around your hotspot, right? And if there's 2 hotspots close together, that's sometimes what you look for. You look for 2 hotspots close together, and as you can see, these are just more plain, not too bad, right? But we're going to pick here. We're going to get these 2 spots right there. This spot and this spot. All right. You don't have to submit yet because you can still keep building, which is what I'm going to do. You don't have to set up your PI like I do. But I do this way because I set it up a certain way because it's efficient, and I keep my links from eating up my power in my CPU. And I'll show you what I mean. So I like to create an extractor head. I like to create a storage next to it. And I like to do a launch pad right here. And then, of course, you're going to need basic factories, right? Because you're going to have to turn this raw resource into something. So what I like to do is here, 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 here. I like to do about 7. So we're just going to stack these guys like this. And we have our 7, right? Don't have to submit yet. You got these, they're all red. You need to link them, okay? Links are important. Let me right click, link. How do you link these? Well, you create link. So you got to link all these bad boys. So you're going to link your extractor, right? This is your extractor head. You link that guy right there to the storage. Storage. Click to Launchpad. One continuous link. Now, raw resources into the extractor head, right? Extractor head. 2, your storage, where the raw resources are going. Raw resources at the storage, they got to go to the factories, right, to actually build your tier 1 product. So, link from the storage, boom, to a factory. Link from storage to a factory. Now you can go and link it all from the storage, but we don't want to do that because that's just going to eat up power and CPU by creating unnecessary links. And as you can see, links cost money as well. So we want this to be efficient, okay? So we're going to create a continuous loop. Just like that. So these are able to funnel resources back through the storage into the Launchpad. Launchpad's able to bring in resources if you have to, in through storage and out to the factories. Extractor head pulling in raw resources to the storage, out to the factories. One continuous loop. We're going to submit that. Now, as you can see, these lines draw one continuous loop. Not bad, right? Easy setup. Easy peasy. Now you can, like I said, you can design your PI any way you want. You don't have to do it my way. It's just, I find this an efficient way. So we need to pull in raw resources. All right. You're going to pick your extractor, Storm Extractor Control Unit. Remember, this is the extraction head. Now, how would he pull these raw resources? Install extraction program. If I did that too fast, I'll do it again, okay? Extractor head, right here, install extraction program. Ionic Solutions was what we wanted. You're going to click that and your scan's going to come back, okay? Now you pick duration. Well, duration is going to be based on how many heads, right? Because here you're going to install heads. See, install, 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 install. And as you can see, it starts to give you your sub extraction heads, main extractor, sub extraction heads. Okay. Now you're going to pick how often you want these to cycle, and it's going to change the extraction head size. If you take a look at those extraction heads, the more days I go, the bigger they get, right? Less days, less time, the extraction heads get smaller. And as you can see here, this is how many cycles will go and the amount of units that you will pull out of each cycle. Units extracted, average per hour, and total based on where the heads actually sit. I found what's sufficient for me is 1 day and 14 hours. Because as you can see, you have nice spikes in your starting cycles, and then it starts to taper off, you know, slightly with another spike at the end there. Good pull of resources. Now let's move the heads to where all you got to do is mouse over them and then you drag them. I don't like, so this is the hot spot, right? Where, as you can see, look, this head turns to 91.9 as your output quality index, right? Higher the number for output quality index, the better. Lower the number, the worse. As you can see, look, your resources extracted change drastically, right? But look what happens here. It spikes. There you go, because more resources, right? Good output. Now you can deplete this resource really quickly by putting all the heads right here. There you go. All these heads here. And deplete this resource really fast. You could do that if you want. And then it depends on how much you want to extract, how much you want to make, depending on your basic factories, and how much you want to babysit this. I like to not deplete a resource extremely quickly, so that way I do not have to move this extractor head to another location, because you will deplete this resource over time. It will deplete. And you're going to have to move your extraction head. You don't have to move your entire factory, but then you start getting into, well, let's say you have to move your extraction head way over here. Well, it's going to require more power load and more CPU, and you may not be able to install all these extractor heads due to the distance. So, I don't like to deplete resources all at once. I kind of like to spread it out over a couple days, make the resource last a little bit longer, and you may get lucky that this resource actually replenishes while you still have your head here extracting, or another one may pop up like right here or right here. You just never know. It's random. So I've put some extraction heads over here to not deplete this entire resource, and the index is 60s. Not great, but not bad either. A good number is about 90 to 100 on your extraction index. Your raw output quality index, anywhere from 100 to 150, fantastic. Higher, even better. 60s, not great. But this is high-sec after all. So now that you have your head set up, right, and you're happy, you're comfortable, you're good with how much resources you're extracting. Here's your output per hour, your total. You need to start the extraction process. Start. Okay, now it's started. There's still some issues though, because if you look at your extractor, let me go over here, not routed. So your raw resource is not routed. How do you route it? It needs to go somewhere. It's not just going to come sit at the extractor head. So you have some options here. Obviously, you know what the install extraction program is. The product is, you're going to go there, and you need to route this product because this is what it's pulling in. See, and it even gives you a warning, not routed. You're going to create route. Where do you want it to go? Well, logical sense, you need it to go to storage. So you're going to double click on storage, boom, there you go. Let's submit your changes. Remember, always submit your changes when you're done, or else those changes will not happen. And as you can see, the red ring that was around our extraction is gone. And it's starting to pull. The cycle's actually going. How much time's remaining? The current cycle output and the time. So every 30 minutes it's going to pull and push. And as you can see, that line started to go because now it's going to push resources into storage. Okay, so now these factories have to make something. You're going to click on one of your factories, your basic factory, and it's giving you some warnings. You're producing nothing and there's no schematic selected, right, for your input. So ionic solutions, right? Electrolytes. Input, 3000 ionic solutions is your raw resource. Your output, 20 electrolytes, tier 1. So you're going to double click on that. Boom, loaded, right? Your electrolytes are loaded now as what you're going to produce. It's got this little cross with like 3 other arrows. What the program is, what it's asking you to do now is tell this factory, where am I sending your electrolytes? Well, you're going to double click on the launch pad. And you're going to just do it again. Electrolytes. Double click, launch pad. I wish CCP would make this more intuitive. so people didn't have to create videos on it and people be lost and not all this incestuous clicking. But this is what you have to do. Electrolytes, double click Launchpad. Electrolytes, double click Launchpad. Now submit your changes. Factories are ready to produce electrolytes. There's still a problem because as you can see, the factories are flashing red. That means there's something wrong. It's missing something. Click on your factory. Input route missing. What does that mean? It means that raw resources are not routed to these factories. So your factories have their input routes missing. Your factory knows, hey, I don't have any resources routed to me so that I can produce what you're asking me to produce and send it to where you need it to. Well, you know your raw resources are going to your storage. So you're going to click on your storage and you're going to go to routes. This is what's transitioning through the storage. These are finished goods going to the Launchpad, right? Check that out when you scroll down. Ionic Solutions. And it says incoming. You need to route these to your factories. This is the type of stuff that's not explained in EVE Online. You have to actually watch a video. It's just really crazy. So you're going to create route, and you're going to just click on one of your factories. Boom. And you see the contrast change there? Boom. The factory automatically stopped flashing red at you. Now it's only flashing a white symbol, and that all that means is the factory's ready, but it doesn't have any resources it's producing or outputting, so that's why that white ring is going. You're going to go back, click, and see 3,000 outgoing. You're going to go back to your incoming, right? The bigger quantity, create route. And you're just going to repeat this process on each factory that you need to send materials to. Keep going. And this is training. So you only need to do this once initially, unless you change product. Once you do this initially, this is all automated. It'll do it on its own, right? You don't have to do that again, unless you change the product that you're making and you're changing the product you're extracting. Then you're going to have to do that cycle all over again of what I just showed you in order to get the factories back up and running and routing material where it needs to go. Remember, always submit your changes. Submit. Bam. Congratulations, your PI is now ready and it's gonna go and make you a tier 1 product that you can send to your Launchpad and you can decide what you're gonna do with it. Thanks for watching the video. I will create another video about tier 2 products, taking tier 1s, turning them into tier 2, and I'll show you how to set up a tier 2 base of operations and make tier 2 products and sell them at market. And I can go into more into taxes and things like that. Like I said, you need an initial investment in order to do Planetary Interaction. But I've showed you the basics. I've showed you how this works, how to set up a T1 factory with an extraction. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. I'm starting my YouTube channel. I'm hoping this stuff goes well. I love video games. I love sharing it with people. And I just want to share my passion. And I'll bring more EVE Online videos. I'm also an avid World of Tanks player. I play ESO Online. I play Destiny 2. I'm going to put more videos of those things up on my channel as well. I hope you like my style. I'm getting a bit better at videos. This is my first video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. And I hope you actually learned something about Planetary Interaction and EVE Online, because this is a cool game to play. This is a cool function of the game. Once you learn it, it's pretty awesome. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.